Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. For those of y'all new to my channel, it's Greg Judy Regenerative Rancher. Welcome. And for you new subscribers, thank you for hitting that subscribe button. And those of you that haven't, click on that dude. Hit the like button while you're there if you would. Thank you. Today we're going to be covering, the topic is, you know, when you have a lake that has a wreck, which this is, it was. There's a pipe through the bottom of this dam, and this is my neighbor's. This is a property that I sold back in 1989. I had this lake built, and that was in, let's see, I built the lake in 1980, so it's 40 years old. Golly, doesn't seem like that much time could have passed, but it is. Anyway, the new owners called me up, I guess it was on Friday, and we're just freaking out. And they didn't call me for, this thing had been draining for a week, or maybe it was almost 2 weeks. And there's a 2-inch pipe on the very bottom of this dam that I put in there, because I had livestock when I lived here. They don't, so they never used the pipe. But this winter, it actually heaved enough that 2 weeks ago, it heaved and it moved that pipe under there on the very back of the dam and actually broke the valve off. And the owners thought it was coming from in the back of the dam. In other words, it was down in the dam. There wasn't anything he could do about it. He went and looked at it and basically threw up his hands like, I'm going to lose my lake. And, you know, he was looking at a bulldozer to come in and redo that whole dam, which you're talking probably $10,000 or more. And just the, oh God, I can't even imagine moving that much dirt. This is a big pond, folks. When it's full, it's 1.5 acres. It's almost, yeah, it's 1.5. That's the little dock that I put in years ago. When I lived here, it was just full of monster channel cat bass. They had that floating dock there that they swim in. They use it more for recreation. They have a little sand beach there. Folks, the water was clear up here by these cattails. They lost, by volume, 2/3 of the water. And so he'd already lined up his buddies with fishing nets, and they were going to go in there and try and seine out the fish when it got even lower, because it would have completely drained this pond. But here's what I did. I moved the cattle. I had them back here behind the pond. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go there and look at that pipe, because he told me there's no way to fix it because it was actually coming out of the dam itself, not the water pipe. And so I went back here Saturday, and I mean, it was gushing out. I mean, it looked like a river. And I'm like, you know, there's no way that much water's coming out of a 2-inch pipe. He must be right, you know. And anyway, I went back here and I pulled up on the standpipe. So y'all gonna have to forgive me a little bit. We're gonna walk down and I'm gonna show you what we did. I saved this lake. And I can't take the credit for it. I learned this trick from an old plumber back in the, well, it was the year we built this lake. It filled up and I had a cap on it, okay? And I wanted to put a valve on it. Well, it filled up while he was trying to get it built. It filled up like 3 times with water. That's how much this thing caught. And the dozer operator we had at that time kind of liked to party a little bit. So he'd get a little money and he'd go party. we didn't get our dam up for like 2 months. So I ended up letting this lake drain 3 times before we got it fixed. Anyway, the second time, I called an old plumber friend of mine, and one of the nicest guys that was ever born walked on this planet, and his name was Amos Aarons. And Amos taught me this trick, and I've never forgot it. And I've had to use it a couple times on my other ponds when I had a valve that broke. Okay, so I'm going to show you all exactly what we did to fix this. And I mean, it's fixed. There ain't a drop of water coming out of this. As you can see, this was a mud pit. Folks, there's probably 5 million gallons of water ran down this creek. And when I came in here, I was working in water. So what we did is, there's the old pipe that I used to run. It went down to my old mule. I had a mule, a jumping mule that I used to coon hunt on. And that was her water tank down there. Of course, they don't have any livestock now, but this thing had, where's it at? Yep, he took it. I was hoping I could show that to you. Anyway, it's a 6-inch PVC pipe that goes around that standoff, okay? And you put that pipe over that, and you cover it with dirt, and there's the lid. That was the lid to the pipe. Well, anyway, the valve that was on there had snapped off on the pond side. So you had full flow. I started digging around back here, and I dug all this dirt out, and I'm like, you know what, we can fix that. So I went and told the landowner, I said, I'm running to town tonight. I'll see you in the morning. I'll get you a valve. And so I went into a local Home Depot and bought this, I'm sorry, it was Lowe's. And I bought that 2-inch schedule, that's a Schedule 80 PVC shutoff. And I went and got some primer, and I got it where I could work on it. I pried that pipe up and got it out of the mud. And I mean, folks, there was water flowing out of that. And I primered that pipe real good after I cleaned it off. And then I primered my fitting, the valve. Well, before I stuck it on there, that valve was wide open, okay? So when I glued it real good, I put a lot of glue on the valve, and I put a lot of glue on that pipe. Even though there's water blasting out of it, with that valve open, I was able to shove it up on that pipe. I twisted it just to make sure I got a good connection with my glue. And then I didn't, once I had it on there, folks, I didn't shut it off. I let it flow right through that valve for about 5 minutes because it was cold out here. The glue wasn't setting up the quickest. And so I wanted to make sure before I shut that valve off that that valve was glued good enough it would take the power and the force that was pushing water through that pipe. And just to be safe, I took a fiberglass rod and I stuck it in the ground. That fiberglass rod's in the ground, I don't know, 1.5 feet. And it's wedged right up against that valve. So the new owners, I say new, they've been here for 20-some years, longer than that. Yeah, around 20-some years. They're never going to use this, but now they don't have to worry about their pond draining either. So he's going to put that standpipe back over this, filled in with dirt, because if you don't, folks, that will freeze and it'll crack and you'll lose your pipe again. But you can fix one. Open the valve, primer the heck out of it, open the valve before you stick it up on there, and then glue the bejeebers out of it. I mean, really put a bunch of glue on it, on the pipe and the fitting, the shutoff, and then ram it up on there, hold on to it, spin it back and forth a few times to make sure you get good adhesion. But folks, don't let loose of it. And have a fiberglass rod like this right handy where you can stick it in and just leave it there. Just leave it there. And they're good to go. You know, this is one heck of a dam. One of the things that I had warned him about this, but he didn't pay my heed. Folks, this is a terrible thing to do to a dam. I mean, he's got some big trees growing on here now. When I sold this, there wasn't a tree on this dam. I mean, some of those trees, that one up there is almost 3 foot around. Well, why don't you want trees on the dam of your lake? Well, they're growing roots. Guess which direction the roots are going? They're going toward the water. So you've got roots in there that are, you know, 1 foot in diameter, some of them, and they're reaching out into that pond. And if that tree dies, boy, you got trouble now. Because now you got a dead root, you got a big old channel, dead channel going through that pond dam, and that's just a nice little big water trench that water will find. And now you've got all this seepage coming through where there used to be live living roots. You're going to lose your pond. So he's kind of, I mean, I wouldn't cut them now. They're too darn big. If you cut them, you're going to have all that dead matter rotting, and now you will have trouble. Don't let the trees grow on your dam. Just don't let it happen. But he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 in there that are really nuisance trees. And I mean, if he doesn't cut them, they'll probably live his lifetime. May not be an issue at all. But if you cut them, it's an issue. So with that, I just wanted to show you all, you can save a lake when the valve breaks off. And I think I just explained how we did that. I know this guy, he was a pretty happy camper because they were super depressed. They enjoy this lake a lot in the summertime, and you know, got a floating dock out there they dive off of. You know, they swim, they fish, they barbecue over there. It is a beautiful lake. When I sold this property, I sold 10 acres and I built a 3-story log cabin. That's another story. It's right across the draw right here. Can't really, well, you can see the outline of it over there. I may talk to them sometimes, see if I can do a video on that. It's a pretty cool cabin. I built it all out of white oak logs that I cut off of the farm. And had a little sawmill that I'd bought for cheap. Sawed all the logs right here on the farm. Anyway, I'm trying to get to the top of this hill. Ugh, this is a steep dam. I'm getting there. Okay, here we go. So instead of losing all their fish and having to rebuild the lake, there's nothing wrong with it. We saved it. We saved it. So I'm pretty happy about that. By God, there's a turtle. Spring. Turtles are up swimming around. Turtles don't swim around in the winter. One of the things I would warn people about, and be careful what you put in your water. They've poured, I don't know what they call it, algicide or something, turned that water blue. Folks, that's not healthy for your fish. Yeah, it makes it pretty looking like a swimming pool, but that's just not good. That's just not good to do. Kills a lot of your zooplankton, and it's just not healthy. I wouldn't want to eat a fish where you put that stuff in the water, but you know, the manufacturer's labels, oh, it's safe, it's safe, it's safe, but I don't like the looks of it. I'd rather have true pond color. Anyway, I'm going to sign off with that. We saved the lake here from my neighbor, and they're happy campers, and I'm happy it didn't drain, and at least they didn't lose all their fish. Everyone have a great day.